Thank you very much, and good morning once again. Some way, somehow, I'm surprised at his argument. My reason being that a classical example I was going to give was what Ibrahim was just saying. But yes, but in fact, let me rather give another. If government intends to do a housing program and decides that government it's putting up a housing facility at Denta, at Majo, and maybe Takrady. And if government is unable to put maybe at Tamale, because it's a process, and you say that because it's a program that is aimed at all Ghanaians benefiting, then the private home as Tamale must also be invaded by the private person because government must find an avenue to subsidize for that. It doesn't work like that. And this is policy we are talking about. It's something that is rolled out over time, improved after a while, amongst other things. And so if government, and show me any country in the world where private education is actually cheaper compared to the public sector. And so if government is rolling out a policy and you feel that you want to benefit, what it means is that the number one thing is to look at the avenue, the vehicle that you would also move on to reach that. And government is doing this through public schools.
And in this case, there's no vacancy in the public school.
Yes, and it will also always be.
That I can't wait till after 10 years if I don't get admission, I'm still waiting.
Not really the case, but you see, every policy aims at improving the status quo. The question should be that as this is being introduced, what is the situation? It is also improving the status quo of many others who hitherto wouldn't have accessed at all, or would have been found in some major channel. No, at your expense. How?
Because I did not get admission into the public university, so I went for private education.
Well, you see, there is no very perfect situation, unless we want to even pretend around this matter of concern. That when we roll out policies, like we did with free SHS, it even took people from within the government of the NPP at the time to even criticize the free SHS themselves. That they feel that somebody at Achimota should not be benefiting from free SHS because you can afford going to those schools. And that is just the same example we're looking at over here. And so when government is rolling out a program, it knows very well that the aim is for the majority of the people. If, however, we can study it and tell the look, from the very onset, 150 have applied, 35,000 have applied, 35,000 or 50,000 qualify. Access, however, is only available to 15,000. That is progress. What it means is that then if we want to roll this out continuously, next year, as part of the schools programs, government must make sure expansion is also part of that. So get fund, come in, and let's see what you can also do. Because there's some kind of burden being removed off the scholarship secretariat and the other
don't you argue of for the student loan scheme to be upgraded to cover some of these things and not necessarily a no fees?
Well, every policy will always have divergent views, but when government also decides the avenue it seeks to pursue, don't forget, just as you and I are talking, we are talking here now, it was not only the no fee stress that was launched, there was also the component that talks about access to the people with disabilities. That is another avenue also. So there are other avenues contained, and even special scholarships for people from very
underserved
communities. So you see, even the headline, even though this is what it looks like, it's just an umbrella headline giving you other footings where it can. And even ourselves, it's not as though we are biased, but we feel that the no fee stress is more catchy, and that is what we are even rather discussing more, and not even the people with disability and other things. So we are in one way or the other making an effort to make sure, like he said, why is it that even junior high school should not even rather be made, also be made free? We should be looking at all of these things so that eventually, I believe that if I am good today, if I speak good English, if I'm quality, I owe it all to my basic school. I'm so sorry. I can never say that it is my secondary school or my tertiary school. I owe it to Wisdom International School in Aguzume. And I have always said this anytime, anywhere, that is where the formative time is where you grab things very well. And the rest, they are just building on the foundation that has been laid. And so this is very critical. So I believe that, in as much as I believe we all, I'm sure, agree that this is a commendable approach to supporting education, teaching problems will also come. There has not been any yet, but the concern has, however, only been that the net seems to be cast but not so wide enough because there are some private. Don't forget that the private person who is also setting up an educational institution is there purely for profit. No matter what. Even though he's rendering a service, he's there for profit. And so when you look at those angles to that side of that person, he is doing business.
But the intervention here is for the students, although the ultimate beneficiary will be the private person that set up the institution.
That is why you would agree with me further, that even the person who decides to go to the private school primarily already knows that it's a choice I have made to pay higher school fees, because all private schools charge higher than public schools. So from the very get-go, when you are even applying for a private school, you know you are going to be paying more. What preparations have you made? It is not to chastise anybody for making that choice. There could be unforeseen or uncontrollable circumstances that may have pushed somebody into doing. Someone may think that the number of people going to public schools are too much. I can easily access a private school. I have an uncle who can also support if I go to private school. So the conditions are varying, and so I think that in as much as one would have said we agree with what my brother is saying, it will be a bit also over the bar to say that that should be the rule for the entire game. We are making some progress which we need to improve on and then see the best way forward.